Hello YouTube land, Tycranders there doing yet another action figure review, and this time it's another Marvel Select figure. Now this is an older figure and it's a comic book based figure, and I did pick this guy up at my local comic and comic store and kind of specialty store, and that's called a Comic Vault here in Ireland in Cork. I do recommend checking them out if you're in Cork. I'll put a link to their website or Facebook page on the description below. Now I did do a video for the Black Panther, which I also got there, so I'll throw a link in the description for that video too. But this is the comic book based version of Hawkeye from the Avengers. So getting the height out of the way first, he is roughly just a little over 7.5 inches, I think, is he? He's actually about a little over 7.25 inches. Yeah. 7.25 inches tall, and that's with the I wouldn't say ear pieces, but the kind of pointy bits on his hood or his cowl. Now he does come with a good few accessories, which I will go through. But before I go through that, I will go through the box and go through what he comes with on the box. So he is based on his comic book appearance. So he has the kind of comic book style Hawkeye logo on the side. There is a artwork for Hawkeye. I do kind of like the artwork image that they chose over the way they did the figures paint job, and I'll go into that in a minute. And then on the back of the figure shows other figures in the wave, which are in the other figures to be on the lookout for, which is Black Widow, which is a comic based Black Widow, and Thor. And then you have an image of Hawkeye. Actually, if I just camera up, you have an image of Hawkeye with his display base on the right hand corner, and then you have a brief write up. So it goes, the write up for him, I'm not sure if you can read it on that, but it says Hawkeye aka Clint Barton, sculpted by Jean St. Jean, possessing natural archery abilities honed to an expert level. Clint adopted the persona Hawkeye. Then one day, when witnessing Iron Man save the lives of some people at a carnival, he decided to become a costume crime fighter himself. As a way of proving himself, he broke into Avengers Mansion and convinced their butler Jarvis to play the role of a victim so he could display his powers. Iron Man vouched for Hawkeye, and he joined the new lineup that included Captain America, the Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver. And it just has a kind of legalese stuff down at the bottom, Diamond Select and Marvel.com, and then Hawkeye's name on the side. So before I get onto the figure, I'll just go quickly over the accessories. Now he comes with a bow, obviously, and he comes with 2 arrows that are blunted with no arrowhead on them, and you'll see why in a minute. And he comes with one normal looking arrow with an arrowhead, and his other one kind of looks like an explosive arrow, and sitting on the explosive arrow is Wasp. Very small, tiny, I think is it Janet Pym? Is that the right character name for her? I know it's Pym's wife anyway. So she's kind of she has these blue wings, red and black suit, and she doesn't have the kind of standard Ant-Man helmet on, but she's quite small, but looks kind of cool. Now, for the life of me, I cannot get him to do kind of cool looking archer poses with the bow and arrow, even though he is sculpted to hold the bow and arrow in kind of a with the string drawn kind of pose. And then the other thing he comes with is this really cool base. Now, it does come like this in the box with the you have to assemble it yourself. So he has 2 pieces that just slot into place. There's like an L shape that only goes in the one way, and then there's a long straight piece with a kind of a little tiny piece cut out at the top, and that just sits in the other way. Now they don't lock tight into place, so they are movable, so if I was to turn it upside down and shake it, they would probably fall out after a while, as shown. But they do lock in place for the most part, or they do hold in place for the most part. Now, there is 2 spots on this where the arrows go. and I'm not sure if my camera will be good enough to detect it, but there's a piece just here on the kind of Ultron. Now I'm not sure if this is supposed to be Ultron himself or just one of the many kind of Ultron-esque is it drones, I would imagine they would be called. But it does look like Ultron anyway, but it looks like a really battered, destroyed and mangled Ultron, which is kind of cool. I'm not sure if they did an Ultron figure using this sculpt before Hawkeye came out and then just used it to make a mangled version on the display base, because it looks like it had articulation points on it and it looked like it could have been an articulated figure at one point. So it is possible to just use the Ultron figure as a base and made it a base basically. Triple pun. But as I said, the heads on these are blunted. Now there's a hole right here just in the mouth that you fit the arrowhead into, and then just here where the kind of, oh, nearly dropped the arrow, just here where the kind of reactor, I would imagine, or some sort of heart piece or something like that is, there's another tiny hole, and you can put the other arrow into that there. So you have Hawkeye, it's as if, you know, to display that Hawkeye's taking out this Ultron drone on his own, or had help. So that's his base out of the way and his arrows. Now he does come with a bow, as I said. It does fit in his right hand his left hand quite nicely. It doesn't really fit his right hand because his right hand has this, I wouldn't say trigger finger, but it's like the bow pulling action, or bow pulling grip to it. But the only thing about it is the string on the bow isn't that. It isn't like a real string or anything like that. It's part of the actual plastic, so I wouldn't advise pulling it back too much. And he does have, as I said, he does have the regular arrow. You can kind of wedge it in between there is sort of a hole between the two fingers that you can kind of wedge it into and have them kind of line it up, but it is really hard. Like I said, I find it really hard to actually get him to line it up as to show as if he's like pulling the string back and firing the bow at the same time. But I'm sure if you work around it, or maybe if you were to cut the actual string on this and give him proper string, you might be able to do it. He does have a scabbard or a quiver, sorry, for his arrows. And the cool thing about this is he can actually put the quiver or the arrow, the loose arrow, into it, and his arms are positioned or done in such a way that you can actually position his arm to look like he's actually reaching back to get a arrow out of his quiver. And articulation, if I just take his bow out of the way, head is on a ball joint, can do a 360, can't really tilt side to side. Even though it is a ball joint, it doesn't get much range of movement, so he doesn't go forward and back or up and down on it. It just has the swivel more than anything else. He does have a waist swivel. No ab crunch. He does have 360 in the arms. His arms can grow out that much. They're on a ball joint. He does have a swivel upper bicep swivel. He has a single joint in the elbow, but it does go just a little over, I wouldn't say it's over 90 degrees, it's just around 90 degrees. And then he has swivels in the wrists. Now, when you do first get him out of the packaging, this left hand for grasping the bow is quite loose. So what I did was I just heated it up and kind of held it in place for a bit, and it kind of made it more secure. He does have this tabard piece, which is a separate piece, but it doesn't actually, does kind of move, but not great. It's not really intended to be moved. And he has splits, so you can do, if I can just move his leg to the right position, so you can do not much with splits. He does have an upper thigh swivel, so if you want to move his leg kind of going forward, you have to position the joint in the right position so his leg can go forward, and then rotate it. So he has that. He has a single jointed knee, doesn't get the full 90-degree bend. He has no boot cut swivel. He has single jointed ankles, but no rocker on them. But he is pretty cool. He does have peg holes on the feet, and he does have one peg hole on his base as well, which is just here behind Ultron's the bit of rubble where Ultron's arm is pointing on, and he does fit onto it. Now on the box cover, or the back of the box, you can just position his leg correctly. He's kind of positioned like that, where his other foot is just resting on Ultron, and he's just holding his bow kind of at rest more than anything else. But you can position him like that on the base. And just for, as I was saying about the artwork on the side of the box, his face doesn't look too bad, but it doesn't look as cool as the artwork, because they have kind of like a 5 o'clock 5 o'clock stubble kind of thing on the actual artwork, where he doesn't have that on the actual figure himself. So it is a bit of a shame. It kind of looks a bit better, the skin tone, whatever way they did the painting for the skin tone on the artwork for the side, looks way better than the actual skin tone that was used on the figure. So there you go, guys, just a quick video review for Hawkeye from Marvel Select. Now there is a movie version Hawkeye, which I think is really hard to get at the moment. Hopefully they may reissue them, because Marvel Select and Diamond Select have a tendency to reissue their figures, so hopefully they'll come around again when, maybe when the next Avenger film comes out, or just whenever, if they do a standalone Hawkeye film, they might actually release him on his own. So there you go, guys, quick video review for the Marvel Select Hawkeye film, or Hawkeye figure. He's really cool. If you're a fan of the comic-based version, he's a really cool figure. He's pretty much true to form as he looks on the, as that I remember from the comics. I don't remember reading too many of his issues or too many of the Avengers at a minute, but he does look pretty much as I recall, and just kind of have the H sculpted onto his head as well. So there you go, guys, quick video review for Hawkeye. As I say in my videos, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this review. Cheers, guys.